2025. We got that Jets logo there. He's currently on the market. Who wants him? Well, the Steelers seem to be the team. Yet, is he actually going to play? Because you saw him on McAfee. He said, I've got some personal things to deal with.
Yep.
I'll tell you this. He told the Giants and the Steelers straight up, I have no timetable. If you want to move on, you can move on. The Giants, they opted to pivot. They went with Russell Wilson and of course, Jameis Winston, and now a rookie. Steelers.
In the 6th round picked Ohio State quarterback Will Howard. What does that mean about Aaron Rodgers' future there in Pittsburgh?
I think they believe and are quietly confident that Aaron Rodgers eventually will come around and sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, it's late April. He hasn't done that yet, but if you listen to the Steelers owner, Art Rooney, this weekend, he sounded a tone of optimism and confidence that eventually Aaron Rodgers will wind up in the Steel City with the Steelers. That is the expectation. Aaron Rodgers himself has not said what he's ready to or not to do just yet, but the Steelers are operating like they are confident that Aaron Rodgers will be in the fold. They talked about adding a couple more quarterbacks to go along with Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. One came this weekend, Will Howard. Now they wait for the other in Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, there's also another veteran quarterback whose future is really up in the air, and I'm talking about Falcons backup Kirk Cousins. What's the latest that you're hearing about him?
Well, to me, this would be, in the eyes of people across the league, the backup plan in Pittsburgh if Aaron Rodgers decided not to come back to the Steelers. Because then Kirk Cousins would be a veteran quarterback that would have some appeal and draw some interest from some teams. Right now, we saw all these teams fill their quarterback needs. We saw the Cleveland Browns, who really couldn't have afforded to trade for Kirk Cousins anyway, draft 2 quarterbacks, Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. We saw the Minnesota Vikings trade with Seattle for quarterback Sam Howell. Really the only team right now that has a pressing quarterback need is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are waiting for Aaron Rodgers. But if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come through and decides he doesn't want to play, then I would think Kirk Cousins would figure to be on the Steelers' list of potential replacements. And if Aaron Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh, what that would mean to Kirk Cousins would be he might have to wait for another team to suffer some type of setback at the quarterback position, an injury, just to see what happens. Because right now, there's a real possibility he could be going to camp with the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, he tied for his most in the career in interceptions with 16 last season. Had a really good start to the season, but certainly went downhill from there. Adam Schefter always bringing it to
in week 1, McCourty, QB or not QB?
Oh, I am going QB on this one for Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's like the dating game, Matt.
Yeah.
She hasn't told you yes yet, but you're wearing her down.
But I know it's going to happen.
You know it's coming. You just have to be patient. And I feel like that right now is the Pittsburgh Steelers waiting on Aaron Rodgers. I think he shows up by time training camp comes. He gets his opportunity to get in there and learn Arthur Smith's offense. All of the steps kind of lead to Aaron Rodgers being there, especially with them not going high with a quarterback in the draft.
I'm agreeing with Jason on this one. QB for me here. Look, 40-year-old quarterbacks who are done playing football don't put on cleats and go throw with wide receivers. They don't. I would ask Jason how many times he's put cleats on and run around since he was retired. The answer is probably 0. Look, he's planning on playing. I'm just convinced of it. And so because of that, look, I kind of think that it dictated some of the things that Pittsburgh did, when it came to the draft. I think they're planning on him being their starter week 1, and it feels like Rodgers is as well.
God, look. Another summer of waiting on Aaron Rodgers. We've ever heard that before.
Seeing wide receiver George Pickens before and during the NFL draft last week, none of those trade discussions came to fruition, though. The Cowboys likely teams for Pickens to be traded. That, according to the Athletic's Diana Rossini. Nothing has worked out between the two teams, though, as Pickens remains a Steeler. Okay. I realize this one's a little personal for you, RC, and Stephen A., both your teams, Dallas and Pittsburgh. Who's more likely to make the playoffs? Is it the Cowboys or the Steelers?
Unfortunately, it's the Cowboys. And I hate to say it, but you're looking at the Cowboys who have a Dak Prescott, the Cowboys who's bolstered their running game, going out in free agency and getting backs. The Cowboys who, to me, had a high-quality NFL draft in 2025. You're talking about a team that I feel more prepared and more comfortable with saying that they could be successful, saying that they could compete within their division based on the one main factor that I believe more in Dak Prescott than I believe in Aaron Rodgers if he does decide to play, and more in Dak Prescott, obviously, than I believe in Mason Rudolph. And it's only so long you can spin your wheels and continue to be a slightly above average team and not address the quarterback position. And with all the moves that Omar Khan has made with his aggression that I do love and a change in philosophy and how they acquire players, they still have not addressed the quarterback position. And I do not believe the team, especially up front offensively, is good enough to protect them.
Even the Cowboys.
To me, I'll be damned if I'm going to say the Cowboys. That's not going to happen. Not on this show. I'm not going to do that. Last time I checked, the reigning Super Bowl champions are in the NFC East. Last time I checked, their competitors in the NFC Championship game is in the NFC East. I don't think those two teams are going anywhere. So what we're talking about is Dallas Cowboys, fighting for third place in the NFC East. I remember Dan Orlovsky came on here and did his brilliant synopsis of everything. I mean, he was so eloquent, guys. You should have heard him. You know what? I mean, I think the Cowboys are really, really good. Other than 8 teams, and he named all 8. He said, other than these 8, I mean, I think they're in a really good position. There's only 7 going to the playoffs there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was hilarious. I mean, you should have heard him talking. It's like, oh, man, they got a chance. I mean, other than these 8 teams, watch what they do. I'm like, please. Now, with the Steelers, I got to bet on Mike Tomlin. I got to bet on 18 straight seasons of 500 or better. I got to bet on the fact that since 2007, only the Patriots and the Packers have had collectively a better record than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I understand their quarterback situation is horrendous. I understand that you don't go out and give DK Metcalf 4 years, $132 million, and pay him with George Pickens to have Mason Rudolph throwing them the damn football. I refuse to believe that's the case. I think that Aaron Rodgers will ultimately end up playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't like the draft but so much. I know Harmon could ball. I'm rooting for the brother. You needed help on defense. I get that part. But to draft this cat out of Ohio State and say, what is it, Will Howard?
Wow.
And pass on Shador Sanders really, really ticks me off. Okay, I get all of that. But in the end, I'm still looking at the fact that even coming into last season, with the low expectations for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin found a way to get them to the postseason, although they crawled in because losing the last 5 games.
But Stephen A., we felt better about their quarterback room last year, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I agree. But you're asking me to compare them to the Cowboys.
You might
and that's where I'm saying
Aaron Rodgers, if he ever makes a decision. I know
well, see,
you're excited about that.
as they're presently both constructed, you have to go Dallas. You have to go with Dak Prescott. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. And look, Will McClay, who heads their personnel department down there, did a great job in the draft.
He did.
Look, Tyler Booker is going to wind up bolstering that offensive line. Jayden Blue out of Texas, the running back, is a home run hitter now. He is a home run hitter. And don't let them mess around and get another wide receiver to go along with CD. So I'll tell you what, let's just say Aaron doesn't sign with Pittsburgh. Or let's just say Aaron does sign with Pittsburgh. Okay. But they get George Pickens out of there and they get him down to Dallas. Now, I don't know if Brian Schottenheimer can go ahead and handle all that. Yeah. But I'll tell you, if he can, and you've got George Pickens,